Hey there, folks. It's Joey DeAngelis here on Silent Film Saturday. I haven't done one of these in years. Here's an obligatory, I guess, top 10, but not just from me, from special guest Richard Purnell, certified crazy person.
What?
Yes, exactly. So, anyway, Richard, how are we doing over here? How was your holiday?
Who wants to know?
I don't know, man.
Who are you talking to? Who's asking these questions?
Well, first off, I am.
Are you?
I'm not the voice in your head, dude. That's what you're.
Is this thing on? Is this?
It is on. Yeah, I can hear you.
No, it's fine. I'm not really crazy.
Okay. Keep telling yourself.
No, Wait, what channel are we on?
I guess we're doing this on Silent Film Saturday. I have no idea.
Oh!
I was deciding between Silent Film Saturday or Movie Squad.
Oh, I'm back.
So you have returned.
I have returned like Batman, my favorite Christmas movie.
Richard Purnell returns.
I love that Christmas movie. I like the part when Danny DeVito bites my nose off.
Oh,
great.
Good times.
No, how was your Christmas?
It was pretty good. You know, it was pretty good. Had the family together. It's always nice.
Did you get my gift?
What was your gift?
You know.
I don't. I get legions of gifts from my fans.
So
no,
you didn't get a visitor at your house today in the shape of a person from some red colored district?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Then nothing. I didn't get you anything then. Okay, moving on.
Well, I guess how we're gonna do this is that we have quite a few films that are that we have shared between the two of us as far as favorites go.
It's the end of 2017, y'all. It's over.
2017 is over.
Crazy, whacked out year is finally over. We could do a whole video on all the other shit that happened this year. Pardon my language.
We could, but we're doing things on movies because that's all we're.
that's all we're qualified to talk about.
That's all, and even then, that's debatable.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, so other than I don't know about you, but for me, minus all the awful crap that happened this year, the movies were pretty good.
2017 was a surprisingly strong year for a lot of unexpected areas, I think.
Right? And then oddly enough, in other spots that it would normally be strong weren't really all that strong. It's kind of weird.
Either that or
remember summer?
Yeah, the summer movie season really, man, that's not what it used to be.
It dropped some poop and left it there. Picked it up.
Let's put this like this: unless Last Jedi, well, actually, even if Last Jedi does top Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast technically opened a few days before spring officially started. So that would mean our top grossing films of the year were released in the dead of winter.
I was gonna say I still think it was snowing outside when Beauty and the Beast came out.
Yeah, no, crazy weather, but. You know, a lot of other than Wonder Woman, a lot of the summer a good chunk of the summer movies, not all of them, but a good chunk of them were disappointing. Not only as far as critically, but also financially.
Oh, but the early year stuff like that, I was surprised to see a good movie in January this year from M. Night Shyamalan of all people.
Yes, I didn't get to see Split yet, but that got a lot of rave reviews and made a lot of money.
And that was just the weird thing about this year is that it just was so good starting off, and then we had a few teetering moments here and there, with movies stuff people are anticipating, Alien Covenant and some of these other movies that didn't really hit the mark for some people.
Right.
And then once we were past that mark, we were back freaking strong with movies like Thor and Star Wars and all those movies that were just doing really well. So, and now we're into that award season with movies like all about all the money in the world, featuring not Kevin Spacey.
I actually really wanted. I still want to see that. I might check that out this week. Actually,
I've heard great things actually about it. That's
yeah,
the
and I've heard
strange
it's
thing.
like one of Ridley Scott's best movies in the
For a
last like
movie
couple years.
for a movie that was for a movie that had to be reshot within a 10-day span. It's
10-day span,
insane.
another $10 million, and they did it.
But I
I
mean,
guess.
given the situation, it's like, you know what? If they could go back in time, go to like even Baby Driver, and just recast Kevin Spacey, and then remove him from that movie, they probably would do it. I think,
Oh man,
given the circumstances.
now there's all these jokes now like replace Christopher Plummer in movies. So like T.J. Miller had a recent thing that happened. So I'm just like, well, let's just put Christopher Plummer in Deadpool 2.
No, just put him in the first Deadpool movie. Just see Ryan Reynolds walk up to the bar, and there's Christopher Plummer.
No, it's just they just take footage from all the money in the world, and like Deadpool's asking him a question. He's like, nothing. Every response is just nothing.
I like it. I'd be okay with that because I like Christopher Plummer. So.
No, I do too.
Knock on wood, this doesn't happen. But how strange would it be if it turns out Christopher Plummer is actually as much of a disgusting person as Kevin Spacey was?
That'd be horrible, man. I can't.
I was just thinking about that. Ugh. I hope not. I don't think he is. I hope not. But I love Christopher Plummer.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'd be really
Again,
good to
I like
Sound of Music.
I liked Kevin Spacey too. So
Yeah, Oh, but speaking of, you know what? I was gonna go back to this, but before we get to our favorites, what was your biggest disappointment or worst movie of the year?
well, worst movie of the year and my biggest disappointment are actually two different things. Because my biggest disappointment, I don't think is necessarily that bad of a movie, but because of and you probably already know what I'm going to say, but because of all the shit that happened to it, and then just the rushed product we got, and everything that happened with the movie,
Right.
it hurts my soul as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the worst movie I've seen this year was just terrible. So the worst movie I'm going to say is definitely, for me, The Mummy.
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of excited for that movie, as we talked about in that one video. And I made my points, but, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm right.
I feel like we had we were like, this was all right, and then as we continued to think about it, we were just like, no.
This was supposed to be the frickin' start of a whole new franchise. They even took pictures with all the frickin' actors. It didn't work out. How bad do you think frickin' Johnny Depp and Javier Bardem and all those cats felt just standing there going, wow, they're really putting all their eggs in one basket, aren't
I
they?
only have one solution for this. Disney just buy the rights to the Universal monsters.
Like they're doing with everything else.
It's just a matter of
I mean, Disney's just gonna own everything. It's gonna be by and large.
It's
happening.
To quote the comedian, just a matter of time, I suppose.
Matter of time, I suppose. But speaking of the comedian, my biggest disappointment was Justice League, for sure.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you guys. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big DC guy. I've made some, defensive claims towards the more recent DC movies. I don't think they're terrible, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as they could be. I do love Wonder Woman. That's beside the point.
Right.
But, there's just nothing justifiable for me about Justice League. I mean, as much as I do like elements of it, I think they got Superman right. I think they got, I like the interpretation of some of the other characters. I liked that it felt more lighthearted and more hopeful than, the previous DC movies. But it all was just bogged down by heavy, heavy technical problems. Mustaches aside, there was obvious green screen. There was just, you could tell when things were just reshot for no reason, again, like I said, as much as I like this interpretation of Superman compared to the other ones that Henry Cavill's done, just that frickin' upper lip.
It is so distracting. I was watching. They had put up some clips online. I rewatched the scene where they resurrect him from the dead, And I have to say,
Yeah.
probably the silliest thing I've ever seen in a movie was when he has Batman. He's like, "Tell me, do you bleed?"
And this is not real.
Oh, dude, it looks like one of my favorite like moments of the whole series is ruined in the beginning of the movie because of that fake upper lip. They should replace the upper lip with Christopher Plummer. I'm just saying.
Just him right there, just going, nothing.
Superman, what do you want? Nothing.
Nothing. I would have been okay with that.
It's just they have like a little miniaturized Christopher Plummer on the upper lip, and it just covers.
Good rule of thumb: just put either Christopher Plummer or have Ridley Scott just reshoot your movie, because apparently that's the only way a reshoot will actually turn out good.
You know what? Now Warner Brothers actually that's a good point. Maybe Warner Brothers should contact Ridley Scott.
Of all people, the guy that made Alien Covenant. Like, hey, Ridley. Oh, no, I'm good, thank you. But
I'm good, thank you.
Shoot. No, but yeah, Justice League. And I have the cup right here. I still have that cup. This is my cool cup I got from work. Cup. But no, yeah, Justice League was kind of an upset. And at this point, you know, there's this whole discussion with an extended cut of the movie, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'd care to. I mean, I'll probably still get the movie at some point, but I don't know if I'll care enough to like really like go out and buy a Blu-ray. Maybe get like a digital copy, but I don't know. It hurt me. It hurt my soul, honestly. The more I think about it, it hurts me. And I'm sorry if you guys liked it. You know, that's cool. A lot of my friends did like Justice League. You know, they, you know, people I would never have expected have been like, oh, I actually thought it was pretty good, and that's fine. But I don't know. I think it had its foot, and you know, it had its direction pointed the right way. Just they were in the crappiest vehicle ever, I guess, metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking, yeah. That was actually my brother's favorite of the DC movies is Justice League.
And that's fine. And that's cool.
You know.
So, shout out to Mike.
And shout out to my brother Mike. He's
who I just friended on PlayStation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he got his own PlayStation for Christmas, so.
No, but how about you? Worst? Disappointed? Are they the same? Are they different?
Okay. You know, just to be different, I guess, because The Mummy would just be too easy. I mean, let's just say the obvious choice is The Mummy. Let's just throw that out there. Obvious choice is Mummy. Disappointment / worst. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I have now come to appreciate Pirates 3 because of how bad the last two movies have been. Like, Jake Mortensen, if you're listening to this, I now get why you like Pirates 3. It's not total nonsense. It's just long.
It's just long.
But with probably one of the greatest action scenes ever filmed, Pirates 5 has such low ambition. It is like if Disney took The Force Awakens and didn't even try. The Force Awakens, you say what you will about it at least tries.
It at least tries, yeah.
It's so low effort. Like, you look at the other movies, they have such great production value. The characters are compelling. Everybody just in this movie looks tired. The sets and the effects look
even Johnny Depp's like just copying himself.
It's terrible. And just speaking, I'm a huge Disney fan, and this year was the 50th anniversary of the Pirates ride, and this ride and this movie franchise deserved a lot better. And I think we can say at this point now that Pirates of the Caribbean really is Disney's Transformers.
It's sad, but it's
sad to say that, because the first one, I think, is just one of my favorite films of the last... It's just one of my favorite films, period. I mean, I don't even need to put that other distinction on it. It's just each one gets worse.
I remember seeing it in theaters and just literally, like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I love the Pirates movies as well, and I love, like, you know, like ocean lore and all the stuff that they did with the movies. I thought that was cool. I'm one of the few people that actually doesn't mind Dead Man's Chest or At World's End as much as other people do, but you know, and I love the idea of the Trident of Poseidon. You know, I'm like, that's cool. Maybe Poseidon himself will actually frickin' show up in the movie. That'd be, like, so cool. No.
No, I mean, because you think about the other movies. The other movies, you had Davy Jones, you had the Kraken, you had the actually decently good looking like zombie pirates from the first movie.
You did.
They had such creative production design and like character or creature design in those earlier movies, and the characters, and this is just no.
Oh my god! Even that end credit stinger, which we both love,
that was the only good part of the movie.
Almost feels like pointless, given all how bad everything. Like you could just tell they were like, okay, we need to finish the Pirates franchise. You know, Jerry Bruckheimer's leaving Disney, and Johnny Depp's got this whole, you know, I beat up my wife allegation on him. Like at least he's not a sexual assault case, but he's still nowhere near a good person. Bad. Yeah, like. So he's got that going on. They're kicking Jerry Bruckheimer out. I actually saw a trailer the other day for a Jerry Bruckheimer movie that's not Disney related, which was weird because it seems like for the last few years, every movie he produced was with Disney.
You know, he had like a deal with Disney for a while, and it's kind of amazing to think because like the first Pirates took a lot of risks and was almost shut. The production was almost shut down by Michael Eisner. And to think it's like, you know, the studio was worried about it, now it's gotten to a point where the audiences are trying it in a matter of like not even 15 years. Just a brand. This is not a good brand anymore, sadly. I mean, I still enjoy those first three. You know,
I mean, I love the first three. You know, Johnny Depp is amazing as Captain Jack, Oscar nominated. You know, as pretentious as that is to say. Yes. I am Oscar nominated. But it's true. I love the story and the characters, but man, and four at least felt like it was doing something interesting, it was still like
it tried to be a soft reboot. And
it tried. This
one also tried to be a soft reboot, but at the same time, it brought back the characters that. Like, not really bring back the characters that we love because they had them in such small, insignificant roles, essentially. But, yeah, you know...
This new one just didn't do anything.
It didn't do it. But away from the negativity side of this, Richard, I'm going to set a timer for us because we have a tendency to talk a lot. I mean, I can extend this timer, so me saying this is a load of nonsense. But I'm going to set a 30-minute timer.
Okay.
Do you think we can limit ourselves to 30?
No, that's not happening.
You know what? I will put it to 40 minutes.
You're just gonna have to edit this.
I mean, I'm not even gonna edit it. I'm just gonna keep this in because I think the people are gonna enjoy it. So yeah,
the people deserve to know that we suck when it comes to time restraints.
40 minutes. All right, we're gonna talk about our favorite movies.
All right. Do you want to do honorable mentions then?
Yeah, let's do.
Do you have any?
Screw the timer for now. Honorable mentions. You know what? I'm going to make a last minute alteration in my list. The number 10 spot on my list is going to be switched out. That would be Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. So is that your first honorable mention?
That's my honorable mention. Yeah.
All right, cool. I have the same one, which is weird because I'm a huge Batman fan. You can't if you can't see.
Yeah, you know,
I got Batman shit all over my walls. But I felt it would be because it's more of a bias thing,
right?
You know, like I felt it was, but it's such a great movie. I even have look at this. I even have all the little Lego characters, and this is the newest edition that I got for Christmas.
Right.
I've been wanting Billy D as Two-Face forever. I finally have him.
Right. No, that's
so.
Great.
Yes, Lego Batman. Do you have any other ones?
Lego Batman is my honorable mention. I'm just a huge fan of the 60s Batman, and it felt like the closest thing we'll get to like a 60s Batman like movie, aside from the ones that they've done with Adam.
Like the animated ones?
The animated ones that they did, yeah.
Which we got one this year, which was awesome. Batman versus Two-Face.
Actually, you know what? That's my other honorable mention. Batman versus Two-Face.
That was great.
That was great. I had a lot of fun with that one.
My other honorable mention, I have two more that I'll mention.
Okay.
I have my one honorable mention is Split, which we mentioned earlier, which I thought was fantastic. I thought that was the best start for a new like kind of cinematic universe.
Right. Yes.
But no, I thought that was surprisingly good. James McAvoy was amazing in it.
Right.
And Thor Ragnarok is my other one.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. honestly. Like, I would not have expected to like a Thor movie because I don't really like any of the Thor movies.
Right, right.
I mean, the first one's all right. The second one, I'm just like, get away from me. But no. And props to the director for not only doing a great job in the movie, but also making my new favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe character, Korg.
Korg is the best.
Korg is so good. You rode a hammer. No, I didn't ride the hammer. The hammer rode you in your back. No. I would swing it really fast and it would pull me off. Oh my god, the hammer put you off. The ground. It pulled me off the ground so I could fly. Sounds like you had a very special and intimate relationship with this hammer, and that losing it was almost comparable to losing a loved one. It's a nice way of putting it.
Richard, can you turn your camera on and off again for a second? I think you froze.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, good. We're back. Because as much as the Lego collection is awesome, I think people want to see your face.
I mean, was it stuck on that the whole time?
It was stuck on that the whole time, yeah.
Oh, well, that's probably better. I don't know.
In any case,
those are my honorable mentions.
Those are some good honorable mentions, actually. You know what? Now you brought up Thor Ragnarok, I guess we'll kind of lead into the discussion. Thor Ragnarok is in my top 10, particularly at what spot did I have it at? I don't know. It doesn't matter really. It's on the lower end.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have mine organized at all.
But Thor Ragnarok, no, it was this year with Marvel. I had a really good time. I really enjoyed the content the MCU put out this year as far as the movies go. Defenders wasn't the greatest thing, but that's not the movies. So
he just threw down the gauntlet to Netflix. What? Even though I like Netflix.
I saw the first 2 episodes of Punisher. It was pretty good so far.
I still have 2 episodes left. But man. Anyway.
I need to savor it. No, but Thor Ragnarok is just such a good time, and they really utilize Chris Hemsworth great as a comedic actor, good comedic presence.
Mm-hmm. I think it actually works a lot better. Like, they try to force it's kind of funny. You look at the previous Thor movies, they're like, oh, why don't they make it serious, dramatic? And they kind of do, and it works in some respects. But then, they try to add those inflections of comedy.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, we're sick of it. It feels so forced. And it's like, well, why don't we just say screw it and just go straight comedy? And everyone's like, wait, what?
And then
why go that route? I thought you were going to go the other way.
Yeah,
and then it
That's
worked.
why some people don't care for this one, too, because it's not very serious. But my argument to that is the end of the world isn't serious anymore. Like, think about going back to Justice League. It's like, I don't care. I really don't. I care about I care about individual. I don't. It sounds horrible to say that it's like the fate of like 7 billion people or how whatever, but that doesn't matter as much, as like the characters, the individual people. I do appreciate sometimes when movies do get serious and discuss like the effects of these things, like in Force Awakens when they had Starkiller Base blow up a couple places. That was well done,
right.
but rarely the end of the world is done in such a way where even when it is serious, I can't take it seriously. I'm like, I don't buy the stakes. So, yeah.
Plus, you got to remember, we're living in a world where everyone feels like it's the end half the time.
Yeah, that's true. It actually makes me think of like the Universal monsters, where for a long time they were scary, but after World War II, they weren't scary anymore because they were real horrors of like nuclear weapons and such.
That's why horror films after 9/11 became so violent, because they thought that was the only way that those would be effective anymore.
Right.
So you said Thor. That was one of the few different ones, because we actually share a lot of the same movies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sure.
We share a lot of the same movies on the list. So I'm going to go with one of my different ones. I don't know if you saw this one. I know I've talked to you about it, but I don't think you saw it. But one of the movies on my list, and this is a movie that got a lot of buzz when it came out early in the year. It's getting a lot of buzz now. People can't stop talking about it, but I get why, because it's so good. Get Out.
All right, I'll leave.
No.
Actually,
yeah, Get Out. I don't want to talk to you.
Well, I do have the movie. I have the movie, so I'll probably end up watching it this week along with a few others.
No. But no, you could stay, Joey. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Because that'd be weird, because the video, you wouldn't have any way to end the video except for you just hanging up, which actually now that makes sense. Anyway, talking about Get Out.
No, but I love Get Out. It's such a like in a lot of ways it feels like an old school horror movie. You know, there's callbacks to like Hitchcockian, Stephen King stuff, and also there's the obvious message of the whole discussion of race and people talking about different like the whole thing about it. I don't think I the kind I'm oh, you know what I mean?
No, you're not the most, maybe not the most equipped to
Yeah, I
break
don't
that
think
stuff
I.
down. No, that's understandable. I don't think
Yeah,
the Golden Globes are either because they put it as a comedy.
yeah. At the same time, I don't think they are either. But no, I absolutely loved the movie. Even just the smallest details in the movie when you catch them, like there's stuff. I watched this movie recently. I didn't even like catch some of the like metaphors and like the little nuances that Jordan Peele put into this movie that I was just like, I didn't even think of that. Holy crap. Like it's like there's literally so much amazingness about this movie. I don't even care if that's not a word. I'm gonna say it anyway.
Right.
So if you haven't seen it yet, or if you're waiting to see it, stop. Go watch it. Get out of here and go watch it.
All right, you talk about your list. I'll just hop out and watch it.
No. You stay here, and then after we done with the video, you go watch
I
it.
get out and watch it. No, that sounds really good. So should I talk about one of my different ones?
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. So the one that I put in last minute, is really more for what it represents, not so much the movie, even though I do like the movie quite a bit. I've never read the book. It's Murder on the Orient Express.
You put it back.
Put it back, yes.
You replaced that with Lego Batman?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm a huge...
Okay, well, no, I can't knock you because, first of all, I haven't seen the movie yet. Second of all, I love Daisy Ridley. She's my wife. So.
Oh, you haven't seen Orient Express yet?
I actually haven't seen it yet.
Man, dude. You gotta let me, because, all right, so let me break this down. So Kenneth Branagh is one of my favorite directors. There's some movies that he makes that are terrible, like the most recent Jack Ryan movie. I paid to see that. That was garbage.
Why would you pay to see
I don't know, man.
It's is it because Keira Knightley was in it as well?
Yes, I love Keira Knightley. I'm like, oh, baby, don't do this to me. Anyway, but I love a lot of his early work. Henry V, Much Ado About Nothing, Hamlet. Let's see. No, but he's... and he also directed the first Thor.
Going back to that, yeah.
Going back to that. And he's just... I hope he gets back to Shakespeare films, but this movie... he has an all-star cast. Of course, we said Daisy Ridley's in this, Michelle Pfeiffer, Josh Gad.
Oh, both my wives.
Did I say Johnny Depp already?
No. Yeah.
Okay, Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe. Just a big cast.
Dame Judi Dench.
Dame Judi Dench. All in this enclosed environment, on this train. And he's trying to solve a mystery. I'm not going to say anything more about the plot than that because anything else would be a spoiler. Now I'm really curious to read the book and watch the original film version from the 70s. But what I liked about this movie is kind of what it represents. Now, a lot of the films that we have, not all the films, but a lot of the films we've talked about are big blockbuster things. So like big superhero fare, action films. And there's nothing wrong with that because there's some great action films that put out this year, some great superhero films that put out this year. Some of which are on this list. But what I liked about this movie was that it was a hit. But it was a hit for a different kind of audience. It was a hit for old people, for lack of a better term. This thing has made over 200 million worldwide. I think close to 100 million. Or at least I think it's getting there here. And that's actually really impressive to think it came out in the same month as two giant superhero movies. So like Thor and Justice League came out in that same month, and the same month as a Disney Pixar movie. And it still managed to find an audience, still managed to make money in relation to its budget. And as a movie, I could take my mom, Patty, because she likes the superhero stuff, but sometimes she likes to see what she likes to call a real movie, that doesn't involve explosions or anything. Well, this movie maybe.
I like that distinction. Shout out to Patty.
Shout out to Patty. It's a real, quote unquote, real movie where we're not just going because it's a superhero thing or it's a Marvel or DC or Star Wars, whatever. It's just a movie that's put out. So I have to give, I thank Mr. Branagh I believe it's 20th Century Fox, for putting out a movie like this kind. Might not be the best movie of its kind, but I hope that it has studios think about like their budgets and think about other movies, other types of audiences going forward. Can you turn your camera on and off again?
Again,
I'm so sorry.
I feel like every time this, because on my end, you're all green and purple.
Oh wow!
And so maybe that's the only time when I'm actually like on.
Maybe. So, what was I about to say? So, what's your next different one? That's all I have to say about Orient Express.
You talked a lot about movies, so I think that is appropriate segue to my next choice. This is a movie. It just came out not that long ago. It had a limited release for a while. It had a lot of talk in the sense that it was a movie based on the making of a movie that is considered for many like the worst movie of all time.
Sure.
But also because of the content of the movie and because people have grown to love the movie over time, like it's got this huge cult following, and people have made memes about this. This movie had a lot of attention towards it. And so, long story short, I'm talking about The Disaster Artist. I don't think you've seen this yet.
I haven't seen this one yet. Again,
no.
I might just go to the movies one day, just see a bunch of these.
Just see these. Get Out first.
Get Out. But keep going with Disaster Artist.
No, but yeah, Disaster Artist. Oh my god! Like this reminded me of when I saw Ed Wood for the first time. It was it's a very hysterical, but also very like heartfelt kind of movie about friendship and also the drive to make something even if it's not well received. Like to find success in odd ways even is an interesting thing that they do with this movie.
Right.
Because that's kind of the shtick of this movie is that this guy, Tommy Wiseau, who James Franco plays in the movie, he also directed it and wrote it and did all that stuff, whatever. But this guy, Tommy Wiseau, makes this movie called The Room. It's awful. It's in no way a good movie, but there's something about it that you watch it and you're like, huh. Like it has a weird like magic about it. And so it's just really weird to sit there and watch it. We have friends that love to go see The Room. Like our friend Alex loves The Room.
Mm-hmm.
Waikiki. Shout out to Waikiki.
Yes.
And so like it reminded me, like I said, watching The Disaster Artist reminded me a lot of Ed Wood. You got that guy who is driven to want to do something, even if he's not necessarily the best at it,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It really struck a chord with me personally, just because I don't think I'm bad at making stuff because I like to make movies and whatnot. Plugging, I have a movie coming out pretty soon. No, I'm kidding.
It's very good.
It's called 8 Hours.
8 Hours, good movie.
But anyways, no. But it got me because I relate to a lot of this stuff, and I haven't really been in like an intense situation like in something like The Disaster Artist, but the drive, the want to do a dream, and maybe to be held back because you don't have particular assets or you can't do this or that, just saying screw it, I'm going to go do it myself however I want it. And that's something I really related to with this movie. And like I said, it's just really hysterical. Like some of the stuff is funny, and they so accurately recreate scenes from The Room. Like it's almost like a love letter, and it's amazing. So, and I am not like I don't have a lot of connection to the movie The Room like a lot of other people do.
Right.
But that's also a testament to this movie, is that you don't even have to have a connection to it to go see it and actually think it's a great movie, because I thought it was amazing. But they do have little things here and there for people that have seen The Room and are fans of The Room. And I don't know, it's just a genuinely great movie about artists and being an artist, and it's definitely about one of the more eccentric and interesting ones that have ever come out of the woodwork in a long time. So, but if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. It really blew me away. I thought it was great.
I was actually speaking of Tommy Wiseau, I was watching a video about Tommy Wiseau, The Last Auteur.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fascinating video. I'll have to send it to you later. It's an interesting look at
the auteur. And well, you know what? Link.
I'll put in a link too. Yes.
Link in the description, y'all.
By Kyle Calgren, who does Brows Held High, one of my favorite YouTubers. Definitely check out his stuff.
Next to my YouTube channel, channel 23.
That goes without saying. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, plug that down there. Anyway, so yeah, that's my next one that we don't share.
So I guess I'll do another one that we don't share, and I know you definitely don't share this one. And if you pull the last minute thing on me, I'd question your identity.
Oh! What is this now?
This is, people accused Last Jedi of being a remake of The Empire Strikes Back. Well, I'll say Marvel went on and did their own remake of The Empire Strikes Back. It's called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
He did not.
They are two-time Galaxy Savers officially.
God damn
Oh boy.
Frickin'. I feel like... I don't even know. I mean, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. I like Guardians. I like the second one. But it's just the same movie.
No, this is a different movie. Maybe in terms of construction.
It's got a more bearded Kurt Russell, okay?
Well, okay. Here's my problem with the first Guardians. Is Thanos. The Thanos scenes slow it down. There are a lot of supporting characters in Guardians 1 that you could have cut out of that. Or you could have tightened it up a little bit. As much as I love Guardians 1. Guardians 1 is top 3 Marvel movies for me.
But it's not Guardians 2.
It's not Guardians 2. That is really the answer. It's not Guardians 2 or Iron Man 1, so there you go.
Okay, well, I mean, I can't necessarily talk, because I do own Guardians 2, because I did like it, but, I mean, I don't know if I would consider it top 10 worthy, but that's just movie.
So here's my thing. Yes, there are moments where I feel like the humor does take away from some of the drama. Do I feel
my nipples?
But sometimes you need things like that in a movie, I feel.
Yeah, but it feels so forced.
Some of it does, and I'll agree with you there. But the one thing I'll admire about
it's a joke that works, I'm okay with it.
Like, James Gunn made a James Gunn Guardians movie. This is not just another, Marvel, fill-in for Infinity War. This movie... What I really liked about it was that movies like Empire Strikes Back, we really explore the characters. So in this movie, you get to really explore Gamora and Nebula's relationship, which was one of my least favorite things in Guardians 1. Loved it in Guardians 2. This movie, we get to explore Star-Lord's relationship with his dad that he never knew. I lost my dad when I was really young, so I had a strong connection to that plot line of the movie.
You had to play the dad card.
I did. Again, this is favorites. This isn't. I don't know if it's a best list. It's favorites.
God, he always pulls the dad card.
I feel like this movie does addresses superheroes and parents better than BVS or Civil War did.
No, because they talk about moms.
There's no moms, dads.
That's the shtick. They need to talk about dads.
They do.
No, granted, they did talk about moms in this movie.
They did.
In Guardians 2. So there is a mom.
There was a mom component. There was a strong mom component, definitely.
I will say this. Every time I see, something that gets, heavily ridiculed or something that gets, so much attention from, the DC side of things, I always feel like Marvel looks at that and says, okay, let's see if we could do a better version of that just so that it could make it look even worse.
Yeah,
and that's what I think they did. BVS had the Martha scene, and they're like, okay, let's do something similar in Guardians 2, where a character cares too much about his mom, to see if we could do a better job.
And to me, they did. I mean,
and you know what? I have to agree, but it's an observation.
The third act was awesome. They fight inside a planet, and there's all this ridiculous stuff going on, and
like a giant Pac-Man.
The giant Pac-Man, and who else is good? Yondu is great in this. I really love
Yondu stole the movie at the end.
He was, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
You look like Mary Poppins. Was he cool?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's cool. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Oh, man. No, and then...
Okay, that was the best scene in the whole movie.
I liked Mantis a lot in the movie. I'm glad she's going to be in Infinity War. I liked... you know what? I know a lot of people criticize Drax in this. I don't care. I like Dave Bautista's delivery of things. James Gunn uses Bautista very well, and Dave Bautista also appears in both of our lists in another spot.
Yeah, but I think he's better at that for the short amount of time he's in the movie. But still,
But
I'll say this. I'll say this ultimately, when it comes to Guardians, I do think it's a good movie. I could definitely see your points. I think I just knock you just because it's fun.
Because I see a lot of people like, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok. They're like, ew, Guardians 2, ew. I'm like,
I mean, let's be honest. I did for someone that hates Spider-Man. I did like Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is the weirdest thing that happened this year.
I'm saying other people.
No, but I'm saying,
yeah,
Guardians 2 has it so over. I think Spider-Man: Homecoming ultimately.
I think there was
even if it doesn't have Michael Keaton, but still.
I'll also say this too: there are a lot of, as a fan of some Marvel stuff, there are things that happen in this movie I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime in a movie. I guess slight spoiler: The Watchers, and Ego, the living planet's face on a planet.
You know what? Speaking of things you never thought you would see in a movie, that's a good segue again into my next one that's not on your list.
Oh, man. I'm curious.
And don't say a thing about the third act or I'm going to punch you.
No, you know what? Unlike you with Guardians, I'll stay quiet about this one.
I'm sure you will.
It's a good movie, though. I'm going to say it's Wonder Woman. It can't be anything else.
Spoiler alert! Yes, Wonder Woman's my next movie. I loved Wonder Woman. I never thought ever that they would, because they kept talking about it. They kept saying, "Oh, we need to do this." Like, no, just make the freaking movie. I never thought I would actually see a Wonder Woman movie, let alone a good Wonder Woman movie.
I mean, if you asked me as a kid, if they would make a good Wonder Woman movie, it would be the best of these stupid things that they've made. I would call you a liar.
Who'd have thought?
They can make good of the Super Friends. They can do it. They can do it. It seems like
they made a great Wonder Woman movie. I literally went to the theater and I watched it and I was like, "This is great!
I paid
Why did they keep doing this?"
I saw something good.
I feel like how I did when Christopher Nolan was making these.
No, man, it's so funny. I was thinking about The Dark Knight Rises the other day, and I think that one is better than, other than Wonder Woman, better than all the other DC movies. And I'm like, man, for me to say I like Dark Knight Rises more than a good chunk of these is saying something. But no, I'm sorry. Enough about me. I said I would stay quiet, but I clearly lied.
But no. I genuinely, I can't speak words now. I loved this movie. I thought Gal Gadot was perfect. She reminded me of Christopher Reeve when he was Superman. I loved the action. I loved the message of the movie,
yes,
which wasn't necessarily just there's the women empowerment, feminists, that whole shtick, which is good. It's needed, but I also loved that this was almost a commentary on war and darkness. This movie, the elements metaphorically that we've seen in all these other DC movies, put it in the forefront and questioned the hell out of it. You see Wonder Woman walking through the trenches of war, leading up into that amazing No Man Land sequence.
Right.
She's looking at these people hurt, and she actually wants to go over and help them, and everyone's saying, "No, you can't." And she's like, "I'm going to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do." And yeah, the third act gets wacky, but I don't care.
I wasn't going to say that.
I'm okay with wacky. I was just going to throw it out there before you did.
Okay.
And it's another case of a weird mustache situation. But again, that's beside the point. I feel like DC's had a lot of mustache problems this year, oddly enough.
They gotta check in that mustache department, man. I don't think Jeff Johns is equipped to run the mustache department.
Jeff Johns, you need to check yourself before you mustache yourself.
Did you mention Chris Pine specifically?
Oh no, Chris Pine, yeah. Oh my God,
he was
excellent. So good in the movie.
Excellent.
He's
stole the show from him.
Superb. And like the great thing about him is that the character Steve Trevor, like the way that he's tailored in this movie is he's tailored as the classic love interest that you see. Like he acts just like the classic love interest in this movie, but he's also just so charming and charismatic, and and he has such great chemistry with Gull, and he's so good. And it's so exciting to hear that he's going to show up in Wonder Woman 2 somehow. But I'm glad he's going to show up.
Right.
But no, I loved the movie. I thought it was great. It had a great message. It was hopeful. It was funny, but it wasn't too forced. And I get it. A lot of people think the movie's a little overhyped. And, people think that, like, they watch it and go, I don't get why this is so popular. We've had, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But the thing is, it's a movie I felt that we needed.
It came out at the right time. I was just about to say it came out at the perfect time.
It came out at the perfect time. It was actually a well-made movie made by someone who loves the character. It had the passion it needed. It had the action it needed. It didn't have to do like what Logan or The Dark Knight or any of these other movies that try to be like more other genres, like a Western or a crime drama. It was just a straight-up comic book movie. But the benefit was that it featured an amazing central character who happened to be a woman, and it did her justice. No pun intended. I loved it.
A few things more I want to say about Wonder Woman. Disappointed the Native American guy was not Apache Chief.
This is biggest disappointment with the whole movie besides the third act.
But I also, speaking of like the women empowerment thing, because there have been cases of movies where they've made the men characters in women empowerment movies totally incompetent.
Yeah, totally incompetent, or just straight up misogynistic.
Yeah, but
they
in this
didn't do
movie,
that.
I feel like there's a nice blend. It feels like the human, like the squad that they have. I forget what they're called in the movie.
Whatever. I don't know.
In any case, they felt like real characters. They felt like real human beings. They weren't just like when I watch, I love Finn in Star Wars, but sometimes I feel like he's like a stereotype or a parody. He's like, whoa!
He's like, yeah!
I mean, I guess some of it makes sense, but I liked it. Like the one guy, he wanted to be an actor. They have real problems. They have real issues.
He wanted to be an actor, but he couldn't because of his skin color. The one guy had PTSD, shell-shocked.
And one guy just was an Apache chief. It was compelling issues for the time. And also, the other thing I want to say is that World War I is one of those time periods where it's highly underrepresented in cinema. Even though it's
really
funny,
is.
like the first Best Picture winner was a World War I movie, Wings. And All Quiet on the Western Front. There's quite a few good ones. It's just World War II.
It just goes to show you just how well the Oscars can sell a movie. They don't decide to make any more World War I movies.
But yeah, Wonder Woman, it's good. It is good stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any? So we should have one more different each.
I have one more. This is an animated film, and I hated pretty much all the marketing for it.
Oh, you're skipping out. You're skipping on me.
Yeah, you were. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so this movie, I hated all of the marketing for it. I thought the concept sounded a little dumb and repetitive because we had that movie, Book of Life, which was a pretty solid movie for what it is. I saw it for the first time not too long ago.
I haven't seen what you're about to talk about, too. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. So, and then when I went to D23 with my girlfriend, we got to the animation presentation, and they sang us some of the songs from this movie with the lead actors and stuff. And I was like, you know what? This could be something special. And I saw the movie, and I've seen it twice so far, and it's certainly quite a gem. And that's saying a lot considering this particular subsidiary of Disney's history. I'd like to talk about Coco. Coco. Man, I was worried.
The first thing before you get into Coco, I gotta say.
What?
Before you get into Coco, I have to say one thing. How was that Olaf short at the beginning?
Oh, okay. You know what? I scratched the mummy. This was the worst movie of the year. Olaf was terrible. You want to know what the message was, Richard? Basically, Olaf's trying to find Christmas traditions for Anna and Elsa. And then they discover that Olaf was their Christmas tradition. So they go, Olaf, you Ooh, our Christmas tradition. This was schlock. Schlock. Garbage. And not even the good kind of schlock where there's, like, nonsense that I can enjoy. This was painful. This was dumb. Like for the people who hate Frozen, shut up. Because you ain't seen nothing. If you ain't never seen this short, you're gonna come back to Frozen and say, I'm sorry, baby!
Anyway, about Coco.
So, for those of you who haven't seen Coco, it tells the story of Miguel, this young boy who lives in Mexico. Young boy Miguel, who lives in Mexico with his family. His family is a bunch of shoemakers and shoe repairsmen and all that kind of stuff. Because somewhere along their family lineage, Miguel's great-great-grandfather left the family to pursue a career in music. So, and he worships this man, Ernesto de la Cruz, played by Benjamin Bratt. You know, this famous musician, had some beautiful songs. And, you know, he wants to be a musician, doesn't want to be a shoemaker, but his family's all against it. He steals who he believes is his great-great-grandfather's guitar. He steals his great-great-grandfather's guitar. Yeah. And then he enters the land of the dead. And he has to, you know, it's the classic, you know, before the time runs out or else you're going to be stuck in the land of the dead type of situation.
I've been in that situation.
And, you know, it's pretty tricky. You're in quite a pickle. But the land of the dead itself is the animation is beautiful. The characters are great. There's a lot of, like, colorful characters and, you know, great personalities in this film. You know, I just don't want to say anything more than that. And the music is so good. I teared up a few times in this movie. Again, going back to, I lost my father when I was a kid. I've lost a lot of people, and it really makes you think about your family and how you view your ancestors, people who, you know, gone before you,
right?
You know, and how you view them, how their memory is, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I'm just so glad this movie was a success. It's made like 400 million worldwide so far. You know, and I'm glad it is connecting with its audience. And it's also very nice too because, again, we talk about like diversity and stuff like Wonder Woman and things like that. This is presenting the Mexican culture. Again, I'm not, like we said with Get Out, I'm not an expert. I'm not most qualified, but I think it's very culturally authentic in the best way it could possibly be for a Disney animated like Pixar film. Certainly my top 3 or top 5 favorite Pixar movies, especially considering we're in a mode with Pixar where you either get a sequel like Finding Dory, you get good things like Inside Out, or you get garbage like The Good Dinosaur.
And then we get the bad news that John Lasseter hugs people.
Hugs in quotation marks.
Hugs.
But yeah, I'm definitely.
That's not even a joke. That's a legit sad thing. Look it up. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
But no, that's my only contribution to this discussion. No, I haven't seen Coco. Like you said, I remember seeing the ads and the trailers for it, and I was like, you know, it could be good. But then again, you know, I feel like Pixar's kind of fallen off the ladder a little bit in more recent years. You know, they haven't been firing on all cylinders like they used to, and so it's just, you know, every now and then it's like, okay, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't be good, but then, you know, to hear what people or how people are talking about the movie, I'm like, I actually really want to see it. I haven't gotten a chance to yet because I've been so freaking busy, you know, at work. I'm looking at the camera like I'm looking at you, job, hurting me. But no, I do want to see Coco. I hope to see it pretty soon here, actually. I don't know when, but I hope to.
It's a beautiful movie. I hope you do get to see it soon.
So, but speaking of kids and dead things, I guess that's another good. I'm thinking of odd segues into.
Now I'm just imagining Miguel going to like the sewer, and then like Pennywise is like, "Oh yes, your great great grandfather." I'm doing the Tim Curry.
I bet I can chew you up. I bet I can chew you up.
I'm Ernesto de la Cruz, the dancing musician.
he just. I'll give you a piñata.
I give you a piñata.
Do you like a piñata, Miguel?
Sorry, your introduction of this movie. Go ahead.
Anyway, so it was a big one.
Wait,
It was
wait, what's the movie called?
It's
Okay, I
it's called
get it, but the movie.
The movie It.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's it. The movie it's you know it's it.
Stephen
King's
It.
It.
Chapter 1.
It. Chapter 1. Yeah. Spoiler alert. But no, this was a huge movie when it came out, actually. And I remember watching, like, similar with you and Coco, I remember watching trailers and seeing clips and stuff and thinking, oh, this could be good or it could be bad. I remember I didn't really have much of a huge connection to the original with Tim Curry, but I loved Tim Curry in the movie. I think the movie has aged awfully.
It's not aged well at all, especially the second half.
And I think the thing is, people forget that it's a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah,
like a made-for-TV miniseries. They think, oh, that's the original movie. It's like, it's not a movie, you guys. This was made for TV, and there's some shit they couldn't do in this movie. As good as it was for its time, there's some stuff they couldn't do, and so going into this next one, I know a lot of people, a lot of Stephen King fans had a lot of drive to this movie because there's is a big budget movie. It was an adaptation of probably one of the most famous Stephen King novels ever. So there was a lot riding on this movie, and it was a surprisingly great movie. Like, as far as how scary it is, I think it depends on who you ask, because I think that's just the thing with any horror movie these days, is that, it's just harder to scare audiences now, given the state of the world right now.
Well, for sure. But this connected with audiences in a big way.
It genuinely did. First off, the cast in this movie, the kids in this movie is so damn good.
So
You got so many, like, these kids I've never seen before besides Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. I've never seen any of these kids before. They were all fantastic. They had perfect chemistry. They talked like real kids. They acted like real kids. You felt for them like you would feel for any character in a movie. They did so good, and the adults were also quite frightening in this movie. But that's beside the point. The kids in this movie, they're also really funny. They had a lot of great dialogue. They had a lot of funny. The movie actually had like some genuinely kind of oddly funny moments. Like, it actually did some like edits and some weird things where it actually was like intended for humor, which I'm not used to in most horror films. So I'm like, huh. Like the one character, Ben, likes New Kids on the Block, and he's trying to hide it. And then there's that scene. That was a running gag. Yeah, like the friends are all hanging out in his room, and he's showing them all the stuff about Derry and all the tragedies, and then Beverly, pulls the door back, and she sees the giant New Kids on the Block poster, and you see like a zoom in on all their faces, and you're like, that's just silly, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I can't not talk about Bill Skarsgård. I thought, please. I personally thought he was great as Pennywise. The face alone is just it sticks. I actually, it was not even kidding. I watched the movie recently because I just got it digitally, and I went to bed and I had a dream, and that face was just in my dreams that scared the living hell out of me.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I commend Bill Skarsgård for scaring me after I watched the movie. But no, he did such a great job with the movie in the performance. I thought he was genuinely scary, but he was also kind of odd, and he did. I don't know. He. It's been a while since I've seen a villain like that, like a Freddy Krueger-esque, talking, taunting kind of horror movie. He felt very like a classic horror movie villain.
Right.
And the movie, here's one thing, this is something I don't think people are talking about as much. This movie takes risks in the sense that, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. When's the last time you've seen a movie where you've seen a child physically get hurt? Like, actually, like, you saw the bone break, you saw the arm rip off, like you see with every other actor. When's the last time you actually ever saw that? Besides it. That's the point. Because this movie, like, it can probably put some people off because it actually harms the kids.
Yeah.
So it actually puts a sense of danger. Like, there's a scene when you see a kid get his arm munched off of his body.
Yeah.
This little 5-year-old kid, and it's actually a 5-year-old kid. And, like, it's a ballsy move because you could put off some people because you don't they don't do that in movies. They don't harm children in movies.
You know what I was thinking about? Speaking of like harming children, is Jaws.
It's a good one, but did you actually physically see it?
No, it was implied, but again, you could argue what see or see.
Oh, that's the thing. Like in previous movies, anytime you ever saw that, you only ever saw the implication of it, the aftermath of it,
mm-hmm.
or it being led into, and then something intervenes. Like, for example, in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, there's the scene when the kid's hiding under the floorboard, trying to hide from the Headless Horseman. Headless Horseman's walking out the door. He stops, turns around, starts chopping at the floorboards, pulls the kid out. But then all you hear, and then it cuts to freaking Casper Van Dien, the oddest actor ever in a Tim Burton movie, whatever. I like him, but still. And you hear the kid scream, and then you see the Headless Horseman walk out with 3 heads in his bag as opposed to 2.
Right.
So you never actually saw him chop the kid's head off. Whereas in It, you actually see these kids get hurt. You see the kids unfortunately get their arms ripped off, or this one kid gets carved on his stomach twice in the movie. It's a ballsy move.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's like I was thinking about the only other place I could see that would be like HBO. Where they would do something like, this is a mainstream movie, people pay money to see it happen, and it made over $600 million worldwide.
This is what I think Stephen King was talking about when there was that whole odd controversy about that sex scene from the book that was never in the movie. It was never in any adaptation, but people were still talking about it because, it is odd, but it's there. And, Stephen King's over here going, why aren't people talking more about the violence that's actually in the movie?
Yeah.
And, it's something that just blew... I remember seeing that Georgie scene, opening scene. I thought it was a great opener for the whole movie. I'm literally just like... Ugh. I don't know. I mean, I'm rambling, but it's astounding that they did that, and it really added a sense of danger to the movie that might not have even been there if they didn't do that, because you got to remember the entire cast in the movie are kids.
Yeah.
That's our focus. So... if they're not in a sense of danger in a horror film, then it's not going to be effective in any way. And so, I thought it was just such a great movie. It's scary again, depending on who you ask, but genuinely, I thought the movie was very well made.
All right, good.
That was my long rant, or not rant, but it was something.
Again,
but I loved it.
Again, message to Hollywood: this movie only cost $40 million to make.
Right.
And
it
want to take that into consideration with your budgets, folks, because there'll be a day and a time when those $200 million, $300 million tent poles will collapse you.
Just keep doing Stephen King adaptations, unless you're doing The Dark Tower. Then
don't.
At least do it right. At least do it right if you're going to do it.
Yeah, don't do whatever they did this summer.
But no, those are all our different. Those were all the ones that were different.
Yeah. So, what do you want to talk about first? That's shared on our list.
Well, I think I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little movie that came out earlier in the year. There's a little movie. No one was really talking about it, but when it came out, it made some money. It was kind of a flop, honestly. But it's just, I don't know if you remember it, but that Logan movie.
Oh, yeah.
Did you remember that as this little movie?
Young and chipper Hugh Jackman. I think he has a career in motion pictures.
Right. I think I can't wait to see his next one. I think he's going to be big.
That was what we would have said in the year 2000.
And now we have to say goodbye to one of the best comic book superhero performances. Hugh Jackman. Let's just real quick. I'm going to clap for him. I'm going to clap for Hugh. Clap for Hugh, because he. If there was one thing that was consistently amazing about those X-Men movies, even during the down times, it was him.
It was him, right?
He brought that character to life, and he was always the most memorable aspect. Granted, they focused on him in a lot of the movies, but still, he even when he wasn't there, you still were like, when's Wolverine coming back?
Yeah. Yes. There's a reason, he's as I say, he's the best there is at what he does. And Hugh Jackman's 17-year run as Wolverine is actually pretty impressive when you think about it. You know,
It is. He was in every single X-Men movie. Yeah, every single one.
all of them. So let's think about like where this thing started. So Wolverine, when X-Men came out, that was just after Batman and Robin, just 3 years after Batman and Robin. It is seen.
This was the resurgence of the comic book movie.
The 1-2-3 punch of Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man. So Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. There's only been one, but we've had 3 Spider-Men, 3 Hulks, a couple Batmen, a couple Supermen, with the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the beginning and the end of the Dark Knight trilogy, the Fantastic Four movies flopping. You know, it is seen, and yet the X-Men movies have kind of just been jogging in place this whole time. You can argue the quality of them, but again, you got to give it to them for running this long and then
just keeping it on going
and giving a proper send-off to its most iconic character.
It's going to be so weird to think that come the New Mutants movie and the X-Men Dark Phoenix saga, you know, whenever those come out, it's going to be just weird to think, you know, that is gone, you know?
Yeah, or when they, if Disney's purchase of Foxx is approved, you know, when Disney will just be like, we're going to put a new Wolverine. That'll be so weird.
It'll be so weird because you got 17 years of the same guy playing the same role, and he just brought it every single time. Again, even in the down times, he brought it.
And keep this in mind, too. This was before cinematic universes, so it wasn't like he popped in, like, 3 or 4 movies in the period of, like, 2 years. It's not like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, where he pops in all the time, or Chris Evans' Captain America has, like, a cameo in a bunch of them. You know, he's been the driving force for a lot of these films. I got to say, with Logan, it uses one of my favorite genres, the Western, to tell this story, and
it's such a beautiful movie. I have to say, it's a genuinely beautiful. It's a violent movie. It's an intense movie, but it's also an incredibly heartfelt movie. It has this movie is going to break your heart and make you cry. Yeah.
I just got to say, Daphne Keane, excellent as X-23.
I want to see her again. I thought she was fantastic. She was the best, violent little girl since Hit Girl.
Yeah.
She really was.
And then, I got to say, I think my favorite performance in this, and I think it's Oscar-worthy in my opinion, is Patrick Stewart's final performance as Professor X.
Oh, yeah, I guess, again, as much as this movie is a Hugh Jackman send-off for that character, as much as he was my favorite part of it, you gotta give props to Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, he was the heart. He was a heart of those movies, and to see him in this weakened state, and it's like almost like a Shakespearean character. The way he
really did he
plays it. You know,
it was insane to see how well he did in that movie. Just the different interpretation of the character and the choices he made. Again, he broke your heart too.
Yep. He did. And then got to say the action scenes. We finally got to see really just truly R-rated. Well, James Mangold did such a great job directing that action, man.
I love that scene in the hotel when Charles is having the seizure and the whole place is shaking and he's clawing his way through.
Yes.
Everyone's frozen. He just goes. Whoosh.
And another thing I admire about the movie, it would have been so easy to bring in other cameos from the other movies or flashbacks from the other movies. I was thinking back to X-Men Apocalypse where they did stuff like that, and I'm so glad this movie did not do that. Because I knew people who were mad about that they didn't over-explain something or what happened to the mutants. And all that. I was glad it was just kind of implied. And they're just in a... the point of it is they're in a terrible situation.
Yeah, it made the world... It made that time period feel lived in. Yeah. And it give that kind of rough, been there, lived here, done. The movie's set years later, and like you said, I completely agree. The focus needed to be on Logan, and it was. And yeah, we had we had Professor X, but he was needed.
Yeah, and I think it's a better story than Old Man Logan. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, how they're going to adapt Old Man Logan?" I'm like, well, they did it better.
I love the Old Man Logan comic. I actually own it. There's definitely stuff you couldn't do from that comic. You in this movie just for you could probably do it now. Now that Fox and Disney own each other, but beside the point, the way that they did it, I thought was very appropriate. And it needed to be done the way it was done, just because that's how it was supposed to work. So,
and it also has a very well re-rendered black and white version.
The noir version.
The noir version. It was pretty cool. But yeah.
And speaking of old dude send-offs, you know what's the next one we should talk about?
What's the next one?
War for Planet of the Apes.
Ooh, I thought you were going to talk about another movie, but that's okay.
Well, that's old dude send-offs.
Yes.
It's the last movie with Caesar. He's old. What else do you want me to talk about?
No, that's true. This is actually my number one favorite of the year. War for the Planet of the Apes.
Thank you, Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves. This is, I think, I don't want to sound like somebody who's really pretentious, but I will probably.
Even though you always do.
I always do. This is probably my favorite, modern trilogy in the last, recent whatever. It's strong.
It's up there for me, too.
Strong start, pretty good middle, and amazing finish. That just rarely happens. It's so... Not even Star Wars could do that.
Star Wars!
No, but, Andy Serkis as Caesar, one of the great characters of the 21st century cinema.
I know it's not going to happen, but can we get an Oscar,
At
please?
Least an honorary, achievement Oscar.
Can you just... No, even better. Could Jimmy Kimmel just throw an award out to Andy Serkis during his monologue? It's like, oh, here you go, Andy.
Andy Serkis, think about all the characters that he's played. He's played Gollum, King Kong, Caesar, Supreme Leader Snoke. What's his face from Tintin? The cat.
Oh,
Haddock.
Archibald Haddock.
Such great, memorable characters. Maybe you could argue not Snoke, but I find Snoke amusing. But anyway, no, doink. No, and then the other apes are great, and the effects in this movie. This needs.
Oh my god, the effects are so damn good.
This needs to win visual effects. It's insane how real the apes look this time around. I keep saying in each movie.
That was the driving force with the marketing for this. They showed freaking whole TV spots and trailers of Andy Serkis with the dots and the headgear and the cameras, and then it slowly transformed into Caesar. It was so seamless. It was so beautiful.
It was crazy. And Woody Harrelson.
Also,
sorry.
Woody Harrelson. I was about to say. Woody Harrelson, oh my god, he was a great character. He's probably one of my favorite of the new villain characters we've had this year. My favorite villain's in a different movie that I think we'll talk about, but I know we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he was so good in the movie. It was. You know what? You go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk because this is more you than me. I think.
Again, I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan. Not just these new movies, but the old movies. The original Planet of the Apes is my top 10 favorite movies.
It's true.
Yeah, and the Easter eggs that they do in Dawn and War are very tasteful, and they feel important. They feel like they're not just Nova.
Look at that!
Nova, she's a little girl in this movie. It's a callback to the first movie, but it's they find this little nameplate and just says Nova. They don't. Yeah. And there are connections to the other Nova from the original film, but I thought the little girl did a great job as Nova. Let's also talk about Bad Ape. Steve Zahn.
Oh, Bad Ape. Oh, Steve Zahn. I just want to say one thing. I love Steve Zahn. I think he's underrated. I know he's been in a lot of shitty movies, unfortunately. But I do think he's a great actor. I think he's a very underrated actor, and so it was nice to see him in this movie and do such a great job playing such a funny but also kind of heartfelt. You cared about Bad Ape, honestly.
Oh no.
No, no.
One of my favorite scenes is when like Maurice yells at him, and he's just like,
Ah!
oh man, no, it was just overall like. I think my friend Feehan once called this the Schindler's List of nerd movies. Well, I've certainly seen this one more than Schindler's List. I can say that much.
Oh my god, I was going to say that's a dark, strong comparison.
Because the thing with this movie is that you have basically ape slave camps.
Holocaust.
Ape Holocaust, basically.
Ape Holocaust,
and I feel like this was like an inch away from being an R-rated movie in a lot of ways.
Like, there was definitely moments you could see it, yeah.
Certainly not for kids. If any parents are watching, not a kids movie at all. Do not let your kids watch this, honestly.
No.
Rise, you can let them watch. That's it's a safe movie, but wait a few years for War, because that's intense. Like, it's brutal.
I will say, side note, War for the Planet of the Apes, favorite poster of the year besides, well, probably my second favorite poster of the year, because I just loved that big red, just war. Then you got Caesar in the snow on horseback with the rifle. Awesome.
So what's the next movie we're talking about?
Let's see here. Well, let's go to this one, I believe. This is another little movie. This is actually my favorite poster of the year. This is a movie that just came out recently. We both saw it. You got to see it much earlier than I did, you son of a bitch.
I'm sorry.
In a much cooler screening with people I wanted to be in the room with. And you know that. And you didn't say anything. You just went. I could have called off. But that's beside... Actually, I was off that day. But that's beside the point.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about The Shape of Water.
Yes, great movie.
It's basically Beauty and the Beast meets Creature from the Black Lagoon set in the Cold War. Featuring my favorite villain, with Michael Shannon.
This is a great villain.
He was a great villain. He started, like, you just saw the build up from him starting off as this, like, God-fearing, like, humble but kind of creepy, like, business agent guy, like a cop, basically.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of progressively got darker and darker and darker. Even his fingers, which were severed from his hand, just got darker and darker. And then eventually he just got, like, that classic Michael Shannon, like, heresy!
No, he's good at
heresy!
Oh, man. What is this?
But also the movie is just a genuinely beautiful movie. I loved it.
It is probably his best one in a while, even though I've liked his last couple movies.
I think we're both... Sorry. I think we're both huge fans of Guillermo del Toro, for sure.
For sure.
Hold on. I'll talk to you in a second. Edit that out.
Anyway. So Shape of Water, I gotta say, what's her face? Sally Hawkins. She's a great actress.
Sally Hawkins.
She's excellent.
Oh my god. She was so good in the movie. She didn't say a damn word.
No, she didn't. At one point, I thought she was gonna say something. I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's just the soundtrack. Wow.
It's just the soundtrack, and we got a dance number. You know how much I love those.
Oh my god, the dance number in this, just the way it was done. There's a way to do cheese, tastefully,
they did it so well,
and they did it so well.
I literally the moment that scene showed up, I'm like, oh.
A filmmaker did this. A filmmaker did this.
Thank you, Guillermo.
Octavia Spencer's also great in here as always.
But of course, I feel like as much as I would say Sally Hawkins is the shining star of the movie, I gotta give it to Doug Jones.
I was gonna bring up another person, but keep talking about Doug Jones though. And
talk about
Doug
Jones. Richard Jenkins. Were you gonna bring up Richard Jenkins?
I was gonna bring up him because he is excellent in this movie. I think he has such a great, like, little character arc in the movie too. Yeah, and I was worried. I was like, is he gonna be? I was like, are they gonna do it? And he does a great job with the character and the way they handle that character. Perfect. They did such a great job with it. But like I said, Doug Jones, he continues, like, he's the Andy Serkis of
physical
suits.
like makeup creature suit. He's the Andy Serkis creature suits. Yes.
You know, he did the Pale Man and the Faun from Pan's Labyrinth, Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movies. He's doing a version of Nosferatu where he's Count Orlok.
Like the man's a legend. He's done it all. He's been all of it. He's been in all of it. If you've seen a movie and you saw a rather slender looking like creature in like a prosthetic suit,
it's probably him. Good chance.
It's probably him.
Usually, that's he said that in interviews where it's like if they see my name and those type of roles come up, they don't need an audition. They just grab me for them.
They're just like, hey, what are you doing right now? You just come ahead. No, but yeah, he did such a great job. Like again, the chemistry between these two, like this monster and Sally Hawkins,
Eliza,
neither of which talk.
Yep.
In this movie was just electrifying.
It was a great love story.
It's a great love story, and also it's just a beautiful looking movie. I mean, Guillermo del Toro is amazing with visuals, and he's got such a great touch, and it's not even just that too. Even the way he uses the camera is magnificent.
Oh yeah, please.
It's so good. And again, it's not. And the thing I like about it is that it's a movie that embraces its genre, which it is a fairy tale ultimately. As much as it doesn't look like it or feel like it, it is pretty much a fairy tale. And I love that it embraces that, but also it's a simple movie that isn't afraid to be somewhat kind of ridiculous at times, but it makes it work because you feel for the characters, you feel for the situation, and it also uses the time period really well. The whole Cold War incident, it uses that beautifully, and that's something that I think Guillermo del Toro has just mastered. He does something simple. He looks at it, he's like, okay, this could come off really ridiculous. Like, let's have a scene where a mute girl and a fish monster are swimming around in a flooded bathroom, like embracing each other, hugging each other, and showing that what he said. Can you say that one more time?
Scootily pooping.
Scootily pooping. It's the PG version of sex.
Yeah.
It could come off odd, gross, or ridiculous, but he does it in such a beautiful way that you can't help but kind of go, oh.
Yeah, it was actually one thing I like. When I went there to the screening, one of my favorite comments that he made was that being original means taking pieces that were already there but reassembling them in a way that hasn't been done before. That's why I couldn't look on too many influences for a movie with cleaning ladies who have romances with creatures from Black Lagoon that take place in the Cold War. Something like that. Yeah. And he also said, as another side note, he also said he hopes when he goes to heaven that God is Octavia Spencer.
As it should be.
As it should be. He's like, we should forgive everyone.
If it's not Oprah Winfrey, I think it'll be
Octavia. And also, did we mention the poster for this?
Oh no! Oh my God, the poster! Like I said, this is my favorite poster. It's a beautifully drawn painting by this artist named James Jean, who you should put the link down for this guy's Instagram. He posts some wild stuff, but it's so beautifully done.
Right.
He also did a poster for another movie this year called Mother. He did a few posters for that movie, actually. I think he did a poster for Blade Runner. But he's done some amazing work, and I would love to see some more posters from him. I think it would be amazing. I always, the poster is hanging at my work. We don't have the movie because we're stupid. I like my job. Don't fire me. But we're stupid because we don't have that movie.
Right.
But no, we have the poster hanging in our lobby, and so every time I come to work, I look over and I see it, and I'm just like, I have a moment because I look at it because it's just such a beautiful piece of art that it just happens to be hanging in a movie theater. So it's amazing.
It is truly amazing.
So how about you? You pick the next one.
I'm looking at the list. You know what? This one I feel just needs to be get it out of the way.
Just get it out of the way. Like, we know you're probably going to not agree with this in any way, shape, or form.
You had Star Wars on your list, right?
Yeah, I did.
We have Star Wars. We're gonna talk about Star Wars.
I like how you had to second go like you had it right.
You had it just to make it sure. Okay. So Star Wars.
We liked The Last Jedi.
I've seen it 3 times, and it gets better with each viewing, in my opinion.
I've seen it once, and I just thought it was great. Honestly. Oh my god! Yeah, The Last Jedi. Let's talk about that.
Oh, man, this is an incredibly divisive movie.
No, let's just do it. Don't even think about.
All right,
everything.
Luke is great. I don't want to hear anybody. I don't want to hear anybody says about this. Not even Mark Hamill.
I feel the worst thing.
Mark Hamill is great in this.
Mark Hamill even has Mark Hamill's fantastic in this movie. He questioned it before they filmed it, but then he was like, you know what? I see what you mean.
I think anybody who's just like, oh, Luke wouldn't do that, and it's just like, think about the things that have happened in this new saga. He this is how he would end up. I don't know.
He's literally like, we suck. Did you ever think about that? Everyone talks about how great the Jedi are, how great Luke Skywalker is. We suck.
And it addresses the thing in the prequels, how blind the Jedi were. It addresses that, and it not only enhances this movie, it enhances the prequels. That it's in continuity where people are questioning the Jedi. What else do we need to talk about with this? Are we going to do spoilers? I guess we'll avoid
Is it too sensitive right now?
Yeah, we won't talk about it. But
okay.
I like the new characters, except for actually, the new characters from Force Awakens. I liked.
You know what? I'll say this: people dog on Rose. I don't have a problem with Rose. I just have a problem with the storyline Rose was in.
No, I agree with that. I also have a line that she says at the end of the movie that's just terrible. Garbage.
But that's beside the point.
And it makes me just that's another story. Canto Bight I don't think was the greatest thing. It had a good point bringing Canto Bight in there. I don't think it needed to be that large of a chunk of the movie.
No, the thing was, it was so woven into the plot of the entire movie that it almost had to be there, but you could have condensed it down to something.
You could have. Poe is expanded quite a bit in this film, and the way I feel about his arc is kind of
I love that the direction they took with I think it's just kind of his arc's kind of the more focus. I think the main it's the main plot more or less.
Right.
I feel like because this movie, believe it or not, has 3 storylines. Spoiler.
There's quite a few,
but I won't tell you what they are. But it's got 3 storylines.
With Poe's thing, it felt like there could have been more consequences or more, because I think I thought about it. I'm like, this is on paper. This is a great idea. It's like usually when you have a character like that and the hero's usually successful and they do no. In this one, he fails. He screws up royally. In certain areas, not to spoil anything, but Leia's like, really, Poe? I mean, come on, we can't be doing this. Can't just blow things up.
What is that? Your Carrie Fisher?
It's my Carrie Fisher.
Work on that, or don't. Just stick to Orson Welles.
Oh man, no, Carrie Fisher was so good in this. Speaking of her.
Oh my God. Oh. We'll miss you, Carrie.
It was a good send-off, I think. It was a good send-off.
Yeah, she was so good. Like you said, I loved the old school characters. I thought Mark Hamill is probably my favorite part of the whole movie, period. I thought Carrie Fisher was amazing in the movie.
I want to bring up Kylo.
I love well, that's what I was leading into next, so hold on one second. Hold your horses. My favorite storyline, plot line of this movie was involving Luke and Rey and Kylo Ren. I won't go further than that, but I do think they genuinely did a great job expanding on Rey and especially Kylo Ren's characters and Adam Driver. Honestly, I know a lot of people looked at him as kind of whiny in The Force Awakens. I thought he was an interesting, compelling villain. In this one, I think you really brought it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is a beefcake.
Ben Swolo, man.
Ben Swolo be looking macho.
And what I like with the First Order? is that it's not like the Empire, where the Empire was run by a lot of like competent people. The First Order is in some ways probably more powerful than the Empire, and is run by a bunch of petulant children. Like, not just like Hux and Kylo, but there's the one commander guy in the beginning who's like, oh, their fighters are too out of range.
They're so tiny!
They're too tiny. It was Mike's favorite character in the movie.
I can't reach them.
Mike's favorite character in the movie was that
What?
guy. That commander in the beginning. he just died when you saw him. No, but I do find that a compelling element when your characters are not just ultra badasses who do everything perfectly. I like it when characters screw up, and it's not part of a master plan. It's just they screw up because they're short-sighted. They don't know what the hell they're doing sometimes. It just works for me. I don't know.
And you know what? You know what that makes them? Human.
And there's one showdown in this
or
movie.
Whatever.
It makes them imperfect and vulnerable, which makes them human, idiosyncratic. But there's one showdown at the end of the very end of the movie. Probably ranks in like my top 3 all time for Star Wars showdowns. It was exactly what I wanted, basically.
I think I know. Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
Probably.
You know,
but anyway, moving on from Star Wars.
But no, yeah. But I will just say I thought I loved it first viewing. It's not perfect.
It's not.
But
like I would say,
like this is what I've been saying in regards to The Last Jedi. This might have upset me, but like I look at The Force Awakens. J.J. Abrams gave us a Star Wars movie we wanted. That was the movie that fans have been waiting for in regards to Star Wars. They didn't want it to be like the prequels. They wanted something like that. Whereas Rian Johnson gave us the movie I think we needed.
Yeah.
And I think later on down the road, yeah, we'll still have our complaints about, you know, the casino crap and the Rose and all those characters. But I think in the long run, this movie is going to stand the test of time, and it's gonna look, and people are going to look back on it and go, you know, I like that one. That's just me. I could be wrong because people hold grudges a lot more these days, but still.
True.
I thought it was great.
Good time. What do you want to talk about next?
You pick. Well, we talked about Star Wars. It's one of our favorites.
Wait, I couldn't hear you. What was that?
You're skipping on me too.
Yeah, you're skipping on me too. So, I presume Blade Runner? Is that what you want to talk about?
You're just straight. I can't hear you.
What?
Nope. No. Oh, I heard that.
Right. Okay, so Blade Runner?
No. Well, I was saying. Well, what I was saying was, what's one of our favorite Star Wars characters in like the whole of Star Wars franchise? It's Han Solo, and he was in another movie last year. It's called Blade Runner. Let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, and he gave more of a damn in this movie than in Star Wars. Even I liked him in Star Wars.
If I had to pick my favorite movie, I was going to pick something else, which I know we'll talk about later, which I think will be the last movie we talk about. But in retrospect, I think this might be my favorite movie of the year, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Because, first off, visually speaking, it's freaking gorgeous.
Breathtaking.
Like, it's dirty, it's filthy, but it's also massive and epic and immaculate and just, like, I want to hug it. Is that weird?
I mean, there might be some diseases there, man. So it's a little weird.
I mean, it's the future, right? They got stuff.
You know, it's...
They got, like, AIDS vending machines, don't they?
Yeah. No, it's what I love about this movie is that it really does a great job of expanding the world that we were introduced to in the first Blade Runner. You know, it does feel like it could be the same universe, which is incredible because it's made by a different filmmaker.
Who's also very, like, Ridley Scott-esque.
It was Ridley Scott-esque, but I mean, still, that's impressive.
I mean, I'm saying he was the perfect choice.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Because
yeah.
Because,
sure.
Yeah.
And I just felt this story this time around, I think they were better able to make it compelling than they did the first time around Blade Runner. Blade Runner, the first one's a classic. It's a great movie, but I feel like it's accidentally great.
I can see that.
You
Yeah.
can see that. So like with this movie, I feel like they had a better chance to make a better story and better characters. And this time around, I think it's in some ways maybe the exception of Roy Batty, from the first movie, Rutger Hauer's character. I think this is a better acted movie than the first one.
Yeah, I can see that. And also, you got to remember this is a movie made in 2017, so a movie with the visuals they're looking for this, that definitely helped, I'm sure, in the visual department. Like, what? Because as great looking as the first Blade Runner was, and as amazing as they were able to, as amazing as it was that they were able to pull that off, obviously you look at this and you're like, I literally remember sitting in the theater just in awe for like hours on end, just looking at the freaking buildings, because there's literally just long shots of Ryan Gosling's character Kay, like cruising around in his police car, and there's just these beautiful giant wide shots of like all the buildings and stuff, and I'm literally sitting there going, "This is huge." And I saw it in the like the XD theater at Cinemark, and so like it's the big theater. I'm just like picturing what would have been like if I saw it in IMAX.
Yeah, I saw it in Dolby Cinema in my AMC, and the sound was like impressive, and it was a fairly wide screen too, especially in the scene where he finds Harrison Ford later on in the movie. And Harrison Ford doesn't come in till later on, which I admire quite a bit.
They pushed that too.
Like if you thought it took a long time to get to Han Solo in Force Awakens, you ain't seen nothing.
Oh, you're skipping again.
Oh, jeez. So, can you hear that at all?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So, Harrison Ford is excellent in this. Like,
this is his best of his return performances for sure.
I'd agree. Totally.
Like he was great as Han Solo. Yeah, Jones, you could talk about that if you want, but so good coming back as Rick Deckard. He showed like some genuine emotion. Like I almost cried sometimes just looking at him.
Yeah, no, it was very well done.
And speaking of that, okay, there's one scene in this movie that blew my freaking mind, like effects wise. Like there's a scene. Spoiler alert, you guys. Harrison Ford, he's sitting there, and he sees Jared Leto's character Wallace introduces this replicant to Harrison Ford, and it's Sean Young's character from the first one. Was it Rachel? Rachel, yeah. And I swear to you, I looked at that. I knew it wasn't real, but I swear to God, I thought they got Sean Young, and they just made her, and they took her from the past and just put her in this movie.
That was a really good
I looked at that. I was like, there is no way that's a visual effect, but it has to be because she's not that young. As much as her name says. Sean Young is old now. She's Sean old. But damn, I saw that and I was like, that is amazing.
I want to point out another visual effects sequence in this movie. There's a particular intimate scene. If you know what I'm referring to, that was blew my mind, knocked my socks off to the point where it hit the guy in the row in front of me.
And he was like, "What the fuck?
Hey, watch it!
Hey, I'm sitting here watching this movie.
I'm trying to enjoy a motion picture with Harrison Ford.
You know, the actor."
It was a good time.
I even loved the direction they took with there's actually a lot of kind of mystery to the movie too.
Yes.
So I don't want to give too much away.
It does borrow a lot of the structure from the first one, but I think it does it in such a way where it doesn't feel like a remake of Blade Runner.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Ryan Gosling was great. He's probably one of the better. I'm loving Ryan Gosling in a lot of movies, so I was okay with him in this movie.
I want to say Jared Leto was pretty good in his little part.
Reserved.
Very reserved, and it worked.
Reserved.
It worked.
Yeah.
And Dave Bautista, again, I just want to mention it before we move on. The next film, he was good in this.
Directors need to utilize their Bautista well.
They utilized Bautista very well. Very well.
Utilize that Bautista well. Um, I think that it's so yeah, but no, I genuinely loved the movie. It's sprawling, it's epic, but it's a classic film noir style movie. It's not action heavy. It's not like it. It relies on its characters and its story, and it really, like you said, it expands on the world of Blade Runner, just like beautifully. And I loved it. I thought it was great.
Music was good too. Let's.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
That soundtrack.
The sound, like I think I downloaded the soundtrack almost for the movie because I just loved listening to the main theme because I thought it was so good. But speaking of music, I think this comes to our final movie.
Is this Rugrats Take Edgar Wright or no? This is Baby Driver.
I think it's called Infant Valet.
Baby's Day Out.
Baby Driver.
Toddler Taxi, was that the one?
No. I think you're thinking of Baby Driver. I couldn't think of another one.
Driver.
It's a Baby Driver.
Edgar Wright movie.
I love Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's my favorite. Him and Guillermo are my favorites.
Yes.
Baby Driver. I will say the only unfortunate thing about Baby Driver now is that it has Kevin Spacey in it.
Yeah.
Like it's almost hard to go back and watch as much as I love the movie because again like it's just a fun but also like detailed movie, which is something that Edgar Wright's known for, and again people have been like I watched a video the other day. There was things I didn't even realize that I didn't even notice until later on when I watched it again. But there's just so much like foreshadowing and hidden details in the movie that come up and just play again later on in the movie, and just obviously the whole movie being synced to a soundtrack shtick is amazing.
Right.
But it just happens to have Kevin Spacey in it.
and it also helps Kevin Spacey's really good in the movie.
Like okay guys, you have to remember, as despicable as Kevin Spacey is now, it's hard to deny that he's actually still a good actor.
Yeah.
It's like saying, Charles Manson, despicable guy, but he was good at what he did. Which is creeping people out.
Yeah. So anyway, actually, what was funny when you were talking about like the Han Solo like segue, I thought you were meant Baby Driver because Ansel Elgort's outfit is Han Solo.
I love how you don't think I'm going to say Harrison Ford.
No, I thought you were going to say.
I love that you think I'm unpredictable.
Well.
No,
anyway.
Ansel Elgort, yeah, he definitely does look like just like Han Solo. Now that you mentioned that,
I liked him in this movie though. He was good.
This is I've seen him. He's been in a handful of movies lately, but I really like him. He was in the first movie I ever saw him in was in the Carrie remake, going back to Stephen King.
Right.
And the movie was okay. He was good in it though. I thought he was very charming, but of course, and then he was in a few smaller movies. I think he was in the Divergent movies.
He was also. Was he the one that was in The Fault in Our Stars?
Yeah, that's where he got big.
Yeah,
because he was the charming, cool guy that also had cancer.
Yes. Oh yeah, those charming, cool guys with cancer. Very nice.
He's the James Dean of cancer. You're tearing me apart.
Tommy was man. Oh my god, we're all over the place. This is bad.
No, because that's where Tommy Wiseau got.
No, I get that, but this is terrible. Anyway,
go back to Disaster.
Jon Hamm. Yes.
Oh my god, Jon Hamm. Can he be Batman?
Please.
Can we make that like? So if you could do us a huge favor, since Ben Affleck doesn't want to be Batman anymore, can you make Jon Hamm Batman? Just do it. Just do it. Just watch Baby Driver. Be like, I see the intensity. He scares the living shit out of me. Yeah, he's Batman. Let's do it.
Yep.
Also, he was great in this in Baby Driver. I love the whole cast.
The whole cast is so great. They're all perfect.
Ansel Elgort was so charming. His again another character who was silent a lot of the movie. Like he was the quiet cool kid.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx. This is definitely one of the better Jamie Foxx performances. I think, even though I think he's just menacing. He's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. I loved Jon Hamm. Lily James was adorable. Like I honestly I admittedly I thought I was going to have a problem with the chemistry, even though I think Edgar Wright does great with romances. Because I mean, got Scott Pilgrim and obviously the bromances he has in the Cornetto trilogy between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. So he does good with romances. But admittedly, I was thinking, will it do a good job? But they worked so well together, and I thought, and they're both, they're beautiful, they're charismatic. They did a great job together, and again, the music and everything just made it all work. And also, you can't not talk about this movie and not talk about the driving. I mean,
yeah,
this driving was good.
Great action scenes. That last chase was so good.
Are you talking about like the on foot one?
Yes.
Oh my god! Like I loved like the tequila scene when they're shooting the guns to tequila.
Yes. Like
I've wanted that in a movie for so long, and I'm so happy I finally got it. And like I said earlier, there's so many things that foreshadow what happens later on. Like there's a lovely moment when they quote Dolly Parton, where she says, "What the hell's the line?" It's like, you can't have a rainbow without having a little rain or something.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, it starts raining. That's like the most intense like part of the movie. And then at the very end of the movie, there's rainbow. And there's also a scene when Baby Driver is watching, like he's changing through the channels, and he's, he sees all these different movies. Like he sees Monsters Inc., he sees Fight Club. There's a lot of money that had to have gone into this movie to get those clips. But he sees all these other things, and then those lines come back later on in the movie because he says them again.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, I love the foreshadowing shtick that Edgar Wright does in all his movies, and he keeps doing it, and it makes watching his movies, especially Baby Driver, more rewarding every time you watch it because you see something new.
And it's also going back to our examples with like different like genres and like diversifying for audiences. It's not a superhero movie. This wasn't an ultra $200 million movie, but it made money. It made money off of its budget.
It was big.
And if it wasn't for Kevin Spacey, I'd say this probably would have a better chance at like awards contention and all that.
Like, yeah, that's oh man, I didn't even think of that.
I hate to be the one to break that, because can you imagine they're trying to assemble a clip montage for Baby Driver at the Oscars and not have Kevin Spacey? I mean, they could.
Yes, actually, you could, but you still look at it and go,
"There's a piece
Kevin
missing.
Spacey's lurking around there somewhere.
There's a piece missing." I'm creeped out, but also, damn.
Like, it's got to make you wonder what Edgar Wright's been like thought, like, because I don't know if you remember, but John Bernthal, who's in the movie, he's great for the brief moment he's in the movie.
He's very good.
He has my favorite line in the movie. If you guys don't see me again, it's because I'm dead. Then he never shows up again. So you're like, shoot. But no, like he had an interview where he was talking about working on the movie and how Kevin Spacey just was so off-putting.
Yeah.
Like he came off like a bully or something. He came off just, that was just his experience. This was like before, I am assuming before the allegations started coming out about Kevin Spacey. But, I think about that and it's like, wow.
Yeah,
crazy.
It makes you think, man. Oof.
Can we just get Christopher Plummer? I know Baby Driver's out on Blu-ray, but can we get an alternate, like, Christopher Plummer edition?
It's like, sir, can we get the what's our next job? Nothing.
Like, what are we going to rob next? Nothing.
No,
You gotta
instead
have
of
Buddy
like
Cop.
Kevin Spacey had to get made up to look like an older man in All the Money in the World. Christopher Plummer has to get made up as a younger man in our Baby Driver.
I'd be okay with that.
That would be
but that now that you bring up a good point, that's gonna ruin any like.
It's going to affect.
I feel like that. I feel like it even affects it now. Like you talk about, like, oh, Baby Driver is this great